It's Alicia Burke with Long Beach Local News, and today we're spotlighting a wonderful charitable organization in Long Beach, the Global Youth Initiatives for Transformation Foundation, also known as the GYIFT Foundation. Today I'm joined by the directors of the Long Beach GYIFT Foundation, CEO Mike Shaw and his wife, co-founder Sheena Shaw. Hi guys.
Hi.
Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
So I was first introduced to this foundation through the Long Beach Rescue Mission. And since I've learned so much about the wonderful things that you guys do in Long Beach, specifically with the youth. So I wanted to get started by having you guys tell us about the GYIFT Foundation, how it got started, and why you brought it to Long Beach.
Yeah, thank you again for having us. This is fantastic. So my wife and I, Sheena, founded the organization in 2015, and again, it's a service organization, nonprofit. It's founded on the Christian principles of helping one's neighbor in society. And we've always talk about through different ways in society about how, there's always someone less fortunate than you, but it's our duty and responsibility, as neighbors in this community to help one another. So that's really what GYIFT was founded on. We often find that there's a lot of activities for youth, whether it be at school, but I just think that the extracurricular activities that really have a lot of meaning, just seem to be dwindling. So there's a lot of once-off interactions with kids, but most of our programs are set up so that you can have, long-term, hopefully lasting relationships with kids. And most of our programs are set up so that you have consistent interactions with the same group of young people so that you can try to influence them to have positive lives.
Yeah. Awesome. And what drew you guys to Long Beach specifically?
Well, really, we're here living in the Long Beach community, working in the Long Beach community, and so at the time we founded the organization in 2015, we just felt like there was a lot of need in Long Beach. As soon as our son started school and was of school age, and in school, we just saw a lot of areas in Long Beach that kids needed to have other opportunities. And the opportunities that we're talking about is real experiential learning. The thing that separates, I think, the GYIFT Foundation from other nonprofits or youth organizations is that we're really all about experiential learning. We're all about experiential activities, things that will leave lasting impact. A lot of times when young people, being in higher education, I see a lot of times when young people come, whether it be to college campus tours or that, they go on the campus, but they don't go in any buildings. They say, that's this is that, and they leave. And when I often visit with young people, all they talk about is, well, we didn't get to go there. They're often left feeling that, hey, we're not worthy to go in these things, but they take us to these places. And our, organization is founded on activities that they get to go in everywhere that they go. They get to touch and feel and learn and experience things, from travel, from going to other destinations, whether it be taking inner city kids from the Cambodia town or from shelters here in Long Beach out to Orange County, to the Discovery Cube, to Disneyland, the happiest place on earth, to the Museum of Tolerance, to the African American Museum, downtown Los Angeles, to LACMA. The list goes on and on. But there are so many opportunities to take young people where they can learn and actually experience things. And we think it's an extension, really, of the education that they get in schools. And we think it's just as important as that extracurricular activity, because as we find out, young people usually have time outside of the classroom, at home, in the neighborhoods, and on weekends far more than they do in school. We have to find a way to make that time also a classroom.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like that you mentioned the going to these different tours, and I've been one of those kids that's been on the tour but not gone in the building. And it is very interesting that you guys are making that, like, you want that experience. You want to go in and see it for yourself so you can see yourself doing it. I like that. Yeah. Awesome. And so we talked about the experiences. You talked about a little bit about the programming. You also mentioned Disney. Now you guys have, like I said, we met with the Long Beach Rescue Mission Disney trip. You have another one coming up. What do you think, being able to do things like that for the youth, what does that mean to you all in the GYIFT Foundation?
Yeah, I mean, Disneyland, obviously happiest place on earth. And just personally for me, being from Southeast Africa, Swaziland, a very small country, I remember as a young girl, 10, 11 years old, I think I shared this with you, watching TV and seeing Disneyland and just making a wish to myself that I would one day be able to visit Disneyland. And then fast forward, when Mike and I went to Disneyland for the first time, and I just felt so so deeply that every kid, it was such an amazing place, the energy, just just the wonder of it all, and I just felt that every child on earth deserves the opportunity to go to Disneyland, and I that's what I wanted to do. And Mike and I spoke about the possibility of taking children who would ordinarily maybe not have an option to go. So we explored different avenues, and God is so good and presented the opportunity for us to be able to do that, and just kids who'd never been before, and just seeing the joy on their faces, running and just feeling that energy. It just feels so good to be able to give those kids that opportunity. And also part of our programming is also to spark the imagination of young people. So when they get to go to these places and touch these different things and see all this, Disneyland is an imagination place. It was built off a man's imagination, and it's just this giant organization today. So who knows, maybe one of those kids through visiting Disneyland can be inspired in some type of way. It would spark their imagination to do something beyond their wildest imaginations.
That's great. That's great. And it's amazing to me that you obviously grew up in another country and you had that same experience as we have here. Is just seeing it on TV, wanting to be a part of it. That's really great. And we've talked about. I interviewed you right after your first Disney trip, and you mentioned the Brave initiatives that you have on your. They're listed on your website. Can you guys talk a little bit about that and what that means to your foundation?
Yeah. And the Brave, again, like our organization, as you talked about before, it's an acronym. The GYIFT Foundation for the Global Youth Initiatives for Transformation, as our Brave initiatives is an acronym for our 5 initiatives, which is the Brave. B stands for the Bread of Life initiative, which is a feeding program that we have here. It's our most recent program, which I used to say it's just started this year during COVID. Now it's been 3 years going, where we feed members of the homeless community on Fridays. We serve some communities in downtown and really Cambodia town in our ministry field, which are not touched. We're talking about parts of the community and homeless residents that unfortunately can't make it even to Long Beach Rescue Mission, to the soup kitchen line. They can't make it to any of the food pantries or that. They don't have cars or anything with that to make it to those. So we started seeing a need for people that were slipping through the cracks, and we started that program. And again, it's just based on the principles of Jesus, feeding the least vulnerable and the most vulnerable in society that just need that meal. And so that program has been going 3 years. Then we have the Regift program, the Regift initiative, which originally for the first 5 years of its inception was really taking clothes from elementary, middle schools, high schools, used clothes, items, things that were left in the lost and found and taking them, cleaning things up and sending them over, school clothes, sending them over to various programs in need in Africa, whether it be orphanages or just high-risk schools that needed clothing. So it started there, and then from there we kind of grew it into more. This year we met a man during the Bread of Life initiative, Eric Perkins, who is the chef at the Long Beach Rescue Mission Soup Kitchen, and we were able to donate him a car here in COVID, so he's able to go now and see his family in the IE, which was a issue he told us when we first met him, and it was on our hearts, and so we were able to do that in the Regift initiative. It's again, and it's something that people like because everybody can be a part of it. Everybody needs something, and sometimes you can regift things to people that can really help their lives move on. So that's it. Then we have the Aspire initiative, which is interactive school assemblies where we bring different speakers from all different walks of life, different social economic backgrounds, different races, genders, to speak to people, young professionals, to speak to young people and let them ask questions. Kind of like the career panels that were done in the past, but where they get to actually see people that came from communities like theirs that are successful doing all kinds of different things, and they get to speak to them about that. Usually that comes with some assemblies that we get to have. Everything's interactive, so we also get to have the pizza parties, the interactive assemblies, and then we have the Vusani initiative, and the Vusani initiative is one of our dearest to our hearts. Again, we met and married in Southern Africa, and Vusani was the name that I was given when I was in South Africa for 10 years, Mabusani. That means the awakening, or the one who comes to awaken. And our program, the Vusani Initiative, is to awaken. It's a series of field trips. As I mentioned before, we talk about sustained interaction with young people. So we try to get the same group of young people in the Vusani Initiative, and they get to attend 3 different field trips. And one is usually an educational type field trip, like the ones I mentioned, to the Museum of Tolerance or the African American Museum, or maybe a trip to a college campus where they actually get to go in a classroom and learn something there. And then they get to go to a cultural activity where maybe it's at the LACMA or something else, where they get to go to a cultural activity, and then an entertainment type activity, whether it's a sporting event, to a Long Beach State sporting athletics event, or to a MLS Galaxy soccer game, or to a Rams game, or something of that nature. But they get to go on all 3 so that you actually start to develop a rapport and understand how you can inspire these young people and how you can support them. Because the community, we always talk about, it takes a village to raise a child, but we are a community, and we love Long Beach, and we get that sense from Long Beach that it's just a city made up of neighborhoods, and we're all really neighbors. At last, we have the E stands for the Elevate program, and the Elevate program is our infrastructure development program, our Give Back program, or what we call our Leave Behind program, where we've done various things. I'll just give a few examples. The first Elevate initiative we were fortunate to do at St. Mark's High School in Swaziland, Eswatini, which is Sheena's home country, her high school, where we built a court there. There was a situation where the boys were dominating the court and playing till late, and the girls were only able to practice late at night or not at all sometimes after dark. So we built an additional court there, so now boys and girls can both play synonymously, and they are both the champions in the country, which has been very good. We also have a GYIFT Learning Resource Center, the first learning resource center that we built and renovated an old youth center and orphanage that we support in Township, which is just outside of Johannesburg in South Africa, and we have consistent ongoing programming there for the 11 orphans that are there, and then I think kind of the last Elevate initiative is last year we started a scholarship at the University of Virginia for incoming African American student. And it's a renewable scholarship, a non-renewable scholarship for an incoming African-American student every year. Last year we gave out the first scholar, and it's named after a very good friend of ours who passed away in 2020, Stephen Vincent Pierce. So we now have the Stephen Vincent Pierce Memorial Scholarship at University of Virginia, and we'll be giving out our second scholar this year, coming up just a few months.
So we talked a lot about the programming that you guys offer. Can you talk about what sets you apart as the foundation in Long Beach?
Yeah, so a lot of my observation has been that a lot of nonprofit social impact organizations tend to have one focus area. So whether it's one programming, whether it's arts and culture, that would be their focus. And that's great. I think that's awesome. But what we found is that ours is more of a multifaceted approach, where we feel something for everybody, and in that way, we can tap into the various aspects of the youth, the individual, because as human beings, we're not, we didn't want to pigeonhole ourselves into one area, and then we would be stuck in that area. We didn't want to be limited in that way, so reaching out to these different organizations in Long Beach, like the Long Beach Rescue Mission, just finding out what their needs were, with the shelters. Children are different, and because they're different, we wanted to have a multifaceted approach so we could touch on the different needs that people and the youth especially have.
And how do you think having that approach, giving them different things to do, how do you think that affects them as they grow, as they get older? We mentioned a little bit before about going to college and things like that. How do you think having all those different things thrown at them by you guys helps them?
Yeah, well, I think it's very helpful, and I think to add to what Sheena's saying is one thing else that kind of sets us apart is that a lot of youth programs concentrate on sports programs, and we really don't do, even though we've done done infrastructure development programs around courts and building sports infrastructure, we don't do sports programs. Our thing is not, we don't want to limit anyone, and our things are to tap into the intellect of young people and to inspire their intellect. We find that because everything is moving so fast and people are online 24 hours a day and they're moving there, they don't have to be in a particular place to do a job, that we need to tap into that, and we need to tap into the intellect and challenge young people to use their minds and use their mental capacity. So I think what the multifaceted approach does is try to encourage people that there's all different things that they can do to be successful, and that not limit them to that. And we feel like by going and actually being able to go into the buildings, we feel like that builds their self-esteem. They feel like they belong places. They can, they grow, and I think that's the Vusani initiative. I think inspires more than the others in that we know from travel and just from visiting, whether it's across town or just across the state line or across county lines. You know, travel can inspire so much because when you see other people living in other ways and seeing them achieve things in different ways, you understand that you can do it, because we as people and humans are the same, you know, ultimately. And so we think we need to encourage those people, that they've had people encourage them with the sports. And we know from me, in the African American community in the inner city, there's a lot of infrastructure that's given towards that sports infrastructure. So we wanted to add something that we think is not necessarily there all the time. Programs like, you know, bringing back debate teams and bringing back, you know, motivational programs where encourage people to, you know, speak and to write in spoken word and to understand the beauty of that. We have art programs that for young people that we found who have been in trauma or coming out of abusive situations, that is therapeutic, and that you find once you give them some paper and just some, you know, some finger paints where they can just put their hands on something, is very therapeutic, and you find that they create things of beauty that we would never think of, but they just need the materials to do it. And that's why our programs kind of focus on all the different things. Somebody might not be great, you know, in the spoken word, okay, or in the debate team, but they're great in the art by themselves. They can really find a place, and then they can express themselves by showing it and talking about what they drew and what they painted. So I think we find different ways for young people to express themselves, and just trying not to shut down any avenues so all of them can flourish.
That's great, because you never know if you're good at it or if you like it until you try it. So that's awesome that they get that opportunity. And you guys mentioned, obviously, and we mentioned earlier, that you guys are married, you guys work together. Now, I like to work with my husband on some things, but not all the time, and he knows that. But you guys have this passion project, obviously, you know, the GYIFT Foundation. Can you talk about how that's affected your relationship, and just how, you know, how you guys have grown throughout this?
Yeah, I mean, we are soulmates. We were made for each other. I don't know if you saw in our story that I donated my kidney to him when he needed a kidney.
No, I did not. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, so you know, we have so much in common, and it's just a really, really good friendship. It's a good marriage. It's a good relationship. We work well together. I'm just so thankful that I married my soulmate.
That is amazing. Yeah, and I noticed, like, when one of you was talking about the GYIFT Foundation, you both kind of light up because you're on the same page with that. Yeah. And can you talk just how your work dynamic? How, do you know, are you more of the let's go, or are you more of the let's, you know, write it down, put it on paper kind of person? How does it work?
I think we're similar. You know, we have the same strengths, same weaknesses. But I tend to handle more of the admin stuff. You know, I'll be making the phone calls, I'll be working on the documents, some of the creative process. But you know, we back and forth with each other. You know, I thought about this, what do you think? And you know, we just really work well together. We respect each other's ideas, we respect each other's time, we respect each other's opinions. So we're just really, really blessed.
Awesome.
We have a lot of passion for young people, and a passion for Christ. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, we're just vessels. We're trying to do what we're supposed to do, which is everyone is here to make this place a better place, and we all owe each other that. And for us, you know, it's nothing we won't do for young people, and that's just the way we feel. And any programs that we can get to them and create and you know, continue to expand, you know, we're trying to do it.
Awesome. Well, speaking of expansion, what can we look forward to from the GYIFT Foundation going forward?
Oh, I'm so glad you asked that question.
She's been waiting.
Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, you know, having traveled, as Mike mentioned, travel is the one thing within a really, really short space of time that broadens your everything, you know, your view of life and your opportunities. And so we are hoping that, you know, in the not too distant future, you know, we'll be able to take groups of kids to South Africa and Swaziland, and with a parent or with an adult or somebody, and just give them that amazing opportunity. I know for myself, you know, having traveled from Africa and been exposed to the world, lots of different countries, it just changes. It changes you. It just takes you to another level, and you're not the same person after that. So that, you know, that speaks to part of our mission statement. It's an experience. So it's a travel experience for them to go, particularly African American children, to go back to Africa and see Africa and see, you know, these are my roots, this is where I'm from, you know. That is something that's also very, very close to our hearts, and hopefully we'll be able to do it soon.
That is great. That is on my bucket list. So that is really
Yay!
awesome. I mean, if you need a chaperone. Lastly, how can the Long Beach community get involved with the GYIFT Foundation?
Yeah, the Long Beach community has been great to us so far, but they continue to get more and more involved. One, you know, the big thing that we need in nonprofit work at all times is, you know, you always need donations to do this work. So we've been very, very blessed and very fortunate. As we said, we have another trip coming up here just a few weeks away, taking some more young people and parents to Disneyland, which one of the donors that's given for this trip just had an unbelievable quote when they gave it, and said, and we're saying, oh, we've just gone, it's so unbelievable that you're giving this gift now. It's taken us 4 years to get this one gift to take, you know, this many people, and now we're getting one a few months later. And he said, I couldn't bear the fact that these young people only got a few more years, and they will never, if they don't make it, they will have never gone to Disneyland as a child, ever. And that kind of just really stuck with me. That you know, we've been very, very fortunate for that. But any you know, they can get on our website. We also, now that we're opening up more, we were a little restricted during COVID in terms of our volunteers, because we do have a feeding program as well. So we were very strict with the protocols and during, you know, the previous 2 years, and we're opening up a little now. So we encourage volunteers as well that want to get involved in any one of the brave initiatives. They can get involved. They can come out, donate their time is a lot of times the most important thing. A lot of people say, hey, well, donate, I'm not in the financial position to do that. It's no problem. Everybody has some time, and people and young people appreciate the time more than anything. Of course, if you don't have the time and you do have the money, you can donate also, and that's at www.gift.org, and the gift is GYIFT. And that's really, and then just embrace these young people anytime you see them in Long Beach, whether it be at a school, at Long Beach Parks and Rec, at the YMCA's here, and continue to support young people in Long Beach, and that always supports the GYIFT Foundation.
Yeah, and you know, we also want to work with other organizations, you know, that have missions that are similar to ours. You know, the more organizations working together, the more of an impact that we can have on our young people. So definitely, you know.
Perfect. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us, sharing your wonderful organization. You know, any way we can help, we'll obviously be there for you guys. But for you guys to learn more about the GYIFT Foundation, definitely check them out at GYIFT.org. All right, guys, that's it for us. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like, comment, you know, let us know if you have any questions, and we'll definitely pass it on to these guys. It's Alicia Burke with Long Beach Local News.